Becoming Sister Wives, Chapter 3, Part 2. I looked over at Mary and I almost heard her growling. I hadn't seen many examples of plural marriage since I was new to the faith, and so this was the first time I experienced it close up. I couldn't blame her. We were very young. Despite our initial resistance, something was pulling us together. Couldn't deny Christine would be part of my family someday, but we all needed to grow up fast. Now we are back to the point of view of Christine. I loved Cody and Mary, and although my crush on Cody was getting serious, I wasn't interested in marriage yet, so I was always eager to hang out with them. Whenever my parents hosted a volleyball party, Mary and Cody always topped the guest list. After spirituality and faith, the trait my dad values most is athleticism, so he was taken with Cody from the start. Whenever I talked to my dad about boys I was interested in, he always steered this conversation in the same direction. And how is Cody? He asked. Cody made a big splash when he joined our faith. He was nice looking, which impressed a lot of women, but he was also well spoken and outspoken. He was confident when he talked in front of a crowd. He knew how to take a spiritual concept and deliver it in a positive and inspiring way. He made a good impression on the people in charge of our church and was often called upon to speak at fireside meetings. About a year after I first met Cody and Mary, Cody organized a youth trip up to his parents' ranch in Wyoming. Cody wanted to expose his younger peers to his parents' lifestyle and introduce his parents to young people in their new faith. By this time, it was pretty clear I had developed a serious crush on Cody. I was always hanging around Mary and him, so we all piled in our caravan of cars to drive to Wyoming. I got someone to drive my car, and I made sure that I rode in Cody's. 19 people headed up to the ranch for the weekend. We set off from my house in Utah, but when we hit the mountain passes, we drove into a massive snowstorm. It was unbelievably slow going, and we had to stop and take turns pushing one another's cars. The drive should have taken half a day, but we wound up being on the road overnight because of the weather. Since we were all young and it was so fun being out there together, it felt like an adventure. Now we are back to Cody. We drove all night to Wyoming. It was dangerous. Mary and I rode in the front seat, and Christine sat in the back. I kept looking at Christine in the rearview mirror. For months I'd been watching her. I loved her spark, her bubbliness. She was so full of life and enthusiasm, just the perfect person to have along on a miserable drive. In fact, I was discovering that Christine was the kind of person I wanted to have around all the time. She lit up every room and brought a fun, positive energy to any event. Mary often stood on the sidelines during games and group activities, but Christine was always willing to participate in anything, no matter how silly. When we set out on our road trip, I was convinced that Christine was the cutest girl in the world. Although she was a little chubby, back then I was young and superficial enough to care about physical appearances. Come on, Cody. After we had been on the road all night, we stopped at a gas station. I had been drinking soda pop to stay awake, and my stomach felt sour and upset. Just thinking about food makes me queasy. Christine went into the Quickie Mart and bought herself what seemed to look like a large portion of chili cheese nachos that I've ever seen. The sight of those nachos turned my stomach. I couldn't watch her eat them. She must have been starving because she was eating so quickly, and there's chili sauce and nacho cheese everywhere. Looking back, I hate myself for the thoughts I had at the moment, but the sight of this chubby girl in my car devouring chili cheese nachos for breakfast put the brakes on our relationship. It brought out the most superficial and shallow side of me. I still liked her, in fact. I liked her very much, but the nacho experience cooled my attraction a little bit. Well, a lot. Now we're back to Christine. Of course, I had no idea that I grossed Cody out with my nachos. I was an overweight kid who liked junk food a little too much. And all of the junk foods in the world, chili cheese nachos were my favorite. When we finally got to the ranch, Cody transformed into a hero. He was a total stud. All the girls on the trip watched him with their mouths wide open, myself included. I had seen Cody in action back in Utah. I had seen him display his talents in church, and I had seen how he transformed himself into the life of every party, but now I was seeing a whole new side of him. Cody was the complete cowboy at the ranch. He was instantly in his element. He got right out there and wrangled cows. He worked the fields. He shoveled and cleaned and got down and dirty with all the animals. I was totally impressed. I thought Cody was the coolest guy in the world. When I got home, I was gushing about Cody to a friend. She knew that I wanted to be a third wife, so we came up with a plan. She married Cody first and be his second wife. A few months later, I would join them as third wife. I took this plan much more seriously than my friend, who eventually got married to another man. My visit to Wyoming had made a fantastic impression on me, and I was eager to return. And I had become very close to Cody's sister, so when she invited me to spend the summer with her at the Browns Ranch, I accepted immediately. When I was living with the Browns, a local family started to express their interest in our faith. They had a daughter who, on one visit, spotted a picture of Cody. The moment I saw her look at it, I knew she'd be interested in him. I felt very threatened by her. She was beautiful and thin, and I was immediately afraid to catch Cody's eye. After a few months after I met her, this girl was invited to come to an event in Utah for the younger members of our faith. Since I was going down, it felt to me to drive her and to introduce her to some of my friends. Not doing so would have appeared selfish. I drove the new girl and her brothers to Utah the whole ride down, saying to myself, "What are you doing, you idiot?" I was completely threatened by her. When I got to the youth event, I immediately realized all my fears were well-founded. Right away, Cody and Mary took a particular notice of her. Their interest was overwhelming and undeniable. I was heartbroken and jealous, tortured by the fact that Cody seemed to find her more attractive than me. To make things worse, she and Mary hit it off immediately. They became inseparable and instantaneous best friends. One morning after I returned from the ranch, Cody and Mary came to pick me up. We'd made plans to spend the day together in the city. Before we left, we lingered on the porch of my parents' house. Cody and Mary had strange looks on their faces. They seemed excited, but a little nervous. Then they told me that they were courting the girl I introduced them to at the youth conference. I was devastated. It ruined my day. In fact, it ruined my year. I decided then and there I was not going to marry Cody, no matter what happened.